Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP. I'm your co host, Ryan, aka the Logistics Monk. With me is my amazing friend, my amazing co host, Jeff Dickinson, who's the president and CEO of RGTX Logistics Solutions and the Bodacious Cowboy. Good morning, Cowboy. How's it going?
Good morning. Happy Monday. What a great weekend. I'm glad to be back here. And this week we start off Women in Trucking, which is going to be awesome. We have a lineup of really, really good guests. So, with that said, let's get into this week and start it off right.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
This is such a topic that I'm personally looking forward to. We've had a culmination of amazing guests on our episodes, Jeff, and we couldn't finish Women's History Month that's being celebrated in the U.S. without bringing the drivers into this, the people who take care of everything. If there's no drivers, then hey, there's no. You and I are we're looking for other jobs. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
you'll be singing country music on the side of the road, and I'll be accompanying you with that amazing stash, but. Today was something that's spectacular, and like we said, we got an entire week of guests.
Oh, yeah.
For me, we've got Kellylynn who's joining us this morning, and the one thing about her is that I was watching her on Life by the Mile, a previous episode, and just the knowledge that she has, that she brings, and she's just such an upbeat person. I don't know if you knew this, Jeff, or the audience out here, that she was actually named the first ever Women in Trucking Driver Ambassador in 2020. So just
Nice.
kudos to her and what she's doing and raising awareness. And the one thing, first and foremost, before we even get started and bring her on, is I want to thank Michael Zellick from Wellington Group of Companies, because he gave me the referrals for everyone that's on this week. So we're so
Nice.
excited.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to say a special good morning to Kellylynn joining us all the way from Oklahoma. Good morning, my friend.
How are
Good
you?
morning.
Thanks for having me. I love talking truck. Most people know that about me. So
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's the one important thing that, like we said, we wanted to have that discussion, because even myself, I was telling you guys, like, behind stage, unless I like talk to my own drivers or I like see on other drivers on TikTok, I don't really know what goes on, and they're basically the day to day. And I
yeah.
feel like even on social media, people are gonna show the good side of them, right, Kelly Lynn? So can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your
Well,
history and everything like that?
I didn't come from a trucking background. I got into it by accident. I got into it because I was a volunteer for my daughter's high school marching band, of all things. So go figure how that leads into a career as being a truck driver. But I got a ride in a tractor while I was managing all this hoopla that goes along with a marching band and 350 students, and I really, I thought that it wasn't something that would be in my wheelhouse, but it was something that I really wanted to do. And I just said to the driver, I was like, man, I wish I could do this. And he said some really powerful words, which was, you could do it. And I was kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't think I could do it until I heard somebody else say it. And I spent time thinking about that. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be an old lady and say, oh man, I wish I had been a truck driver. So I just decided to make it happen. And as I did, I found out more about the industry.
Mhm.
I realized that I was one of those people that didn't see truck drivers on the road and didn't understand what they were doing and thought they were always in my way. And I just didn't get how important it was and what it was like. And then when I was in it was really surprising to me how people treated me differently when they found out that I was a truck driver, even family and people that I thought were close friends. And they thought I'd gone to the dark side, and I'm like, man, I'm bringing you your groceries.
There
I
you go.
just didn't understand, like, this huge turnaround. I was having this adventure. I was getting this behind the scenes tour of our country's infrastructure, and I was learning so much about our country and this whole industry, which is massive, and I was oblivious to it before. So I really tried to share my passion for the industry. I've tried to ask difficult questions of decision makers that make the decisions that impact me and my peers in the trucking industry. because I felt like there was a lot of opportunity for improvement. There's a lot of great things, but yes, there's room for improvement as well. So some of the things that I did was, get to know my leaders within the company that I chose to drive with, which was Schneider was my first company. And they were great. So many, they answered a lot of my questions. They let me get involved in different focus groups. And there's so many smart people in that country that it was a great place for me to start. And I also got involved at the local level. I got involved at the national level. And I'm just one of those people that's like, if you see a problem, it's really not going to do any good to complain about it unless you want to get involved. And so I just have really tried to get involved and share the story of drivers and improve the life and the pay for drivers as well. So, which leads us to this big team that we're all on. And I have never been a broker, and I am not an owner operator. So there's a lot on your side of the industry that, I'm still learning and I'm listening to what people are saying. So we all need to work together to make this industry function better, more efficiently and safely.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, and that's what we do these episodes, to have that collaboration. I want to touch a couple things that you said and kind of unpeel a little bit here. So the one thing I really like that you said, Kellylynn, was that you're part of the solution and not the problem. A lot of people we see on social media, people just kind of go and bash what the industry is. It's like, okay, be a part of the solution. Give me a reason that we can work together. And one of the things you said was that
Right.
with your children's marching band, and speaking with that driver who kind of pushed you to forwards, what was that time lapse period from that time that they told you that you can do it to, okay, I got my CDL, let's go with Schneider?
It was 3 months before I actually started studying. You have to take your written test first. And it was, for about 3 months, I was like, can I do this? And I kept asking him questions and he basically said, it's like, learning how to drive, except you're learning how to drive a commercial truck. You learn how to drive, then you go take the test, and then you have your license. And I naively thought it was that simple. It's really not that simple. And but I started with the test, and at night, when instead of reading a novel, I was reading, air brake information and rules of the road for CDL. It was all new to me. And then I went and got my learner's permit, and we leased trucks to haul our trailers around for the marching band. And I went back to him, after marching season. I was like, I got my learner's permit. Will you teach me how to drive now? And he's like, we don't have a truck. You have to wait 6 months. And I was like, no. I'm not waiting 6 months. So I went and paid $5,000 to a CDL school. And they had a unique program where you could take your CDL class in the evenings and all day Saturday and Sunday, instead of having to quit your job and do Monday through Friday all day long, and which is pretty rare. And it was the only way I could get the training done, and I did it. And then I drove for the marching band with him, and he was my trainer. And it turns out he really wasn't a very good trainer. Sorry, Jason. But I needed more. I needed more training. And I realized pretty quickly that I was the biggest hazard on the road. And so I started asking around, and one of the guys in my CDL school had gone to Schneider, and he said they really walked their talk when it came to safety first. And I have a history working with NHTSA as well, and passenger safety. And so that spoke to me. And so I started with them, and I spent like 7 years with them and became a trainer. And then I wanted to expand my knowledge of the industry. I was appointed to a federal board, Women of Trucking Advisory Board, which is part of FMCSA. It's a 2-year commitment. And there's only 16 of us on the board. And I felt like I had this very narrow experience but I was in a position to be able to represent a lot of drivers around the country that were female on this board, and that I needed to expand my repertoire. So I hauled fancy pants, athletic horses that competed around the world for a while. That was quite an adventure. I felt like I was in the Wild West a little bit. And now I'm hauling hazardous waste for Clean Harbors, which is another company that really embraces safety. And it's a whole nother sector of the transportation industry that I really didn't have much knowledge or experience with. So now I'm on yet another learning journey about how much hazardous waste we produce,
Yeah.
where it's collected, what do we do with it, how do we neutralize it, who carries it, what are the rules. This last week I was running back and forth across the border between Canada, Ontario, and Michigan, and it was my first border crossing. But cross-border freight within North America is something that I've also always been interested in. And it's that whole teamwork again. We share this continent, and I think we're stronger together. But it's a very complicated process. But these three countries rely on each other as how we move freight and build cars and a lot of other things, right? And evidently take care of our hazardous waste. So I know that's a long answer to a really short question, but we don't have a lot of time, and that's kind of encompasses it all.
Yeah, two things. This past weekend, I was on Sirius XM Road Dog Radio on the Women in Trucking show. And it was funny because I mentioned that our next episode on Sales Chatter was going to be Women in Trucking, which Ryan and I are huge supporters of. And we also just joined the Women in Trucking Association.
Awesome.
So,
I'm glad to hear that. It's a great organization.
Yep.
Very diverse.
Oh yeah, definitely all the way. And the other good thing is that I also worked for Snyder National for 5 years, and you couldn't have started with a better company because they're so structured, low key, high output, really good training. So you definitely put your foot in the right door when you started there. That's for sure. I can tell you that, wholeheartedly. But, some of the biggest things, Kellylynn, is that when women are on the road and they're driving, there's a lot of adversities that they face, going into bad areas, going into rest stops, going into truck stops. Can you tell the audience, from the front line, the things that you have seen, how to go through, maybe even fight for it sometimes, because it's not easy out there.
Right.
Tell us some of the stories that.
Well, it's safety is key. Truck parking is an issue, and many people are becoming more and more aware of that issue. Some of the good surprises is that truck stops are actually my safe place. They provide usually lighting, food, fuel, showers. I had an interview with an NPR reporter a couple of weeks ago, and I actually took her on a tour of the showers, and I'm like, these showers are actually better than my shower at home.
Nice.
And, there's safety measures in place, codes that are specific to the driver, only they can get in. But, like when we're out, hygiene facilities are really hard for women to find. And it's across the board. It's not one particular sector where it's hard for us to find access to bathrooms that are heated, cooled, plumbed. They have a locking door on them. They're clean. And as brokers, one thing that you guys can do when you're brokering loads is keep us in mind. We're boots on the ground, and do business with your carriers and the shippers and the warehouses that really prioritize us as an important member of the team and provide us with legit, respectable places to take a break, to park, to stage, to have access to hygiene, to access to food. Those things are really important. But as a woman on the road, the main thing that I do is trip plan so that I know where I'm going to stay. I take a look at weather. I take a look at traffic. I look at satellite videos of the customers or the locations that I'm going to, so that I set myself up for success and I'm safe. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about what it's like to be out on the road. But it can, I'm not going to say I haven't been in undesirable places or in, stuck somewhere because of traffic, or I got held up at, a facility, and I know you guys hear stories all the time about how, our customers don't respect our time and our hours of service clock. And, we wind up not having a place to stay, but they're like, hey, you got to go. And we don't have any hours.
Right.
Right? It's you know, those struggles are out there. But if you trip plan and, you think ahead and you look at, all the moving parts, you do the best you can to set yourself up for success. And I do love this job. I love meeting people. I love getting the behind the scenes tour of our country. And I've had opportunities to step out of this business and do other things. And I just can't do it. I keep coming back. So here I am. I really love it. I love being outside. I love managing my own time. And I enjoy the adventure. So, and I have to say, I do love driving a big A blank blank truck.
There you go. There you go. Right. So listen, I don't know how long you've been driving, but most recently, I would say these amenities and stuff that you now have as women weren't present in not so long ago. And from everybody discussing and everything, and women saying, hey, you know what? We need the facilities as well. Are we where we need to be today? And if not, what else needs to be done for women who are in trucking to help them to succeed and to get to the next level of whatever they want to do?
Well, I think first of all, we need to change our message, and that there is opportunity for everybody in this business, including women, including minorities, including the younger generation, and put it on the list of possibilities that we talk about. I think we need to do more at the high school age and share these stories that, this is a viable industry, and there's opportunity no matter what stage of life you're at. And we also, I think, need to provide more, like I said, I went at night and on the weekends to get my CDL training. But if I had, and I did have kids in high school when I started this journey, but there are women in this that want to get in this industry, and they have small children, and they are not quite sure how that would work doing the training and the job. The hours are, oftentimes kind of crazy. But I think, if we provided some parallel services for women for childcare and funding and alternative timing and structure for CDL training and jobs, that we could actually help support women and carry them in this industry. And I think in turn, we would see a lot of growth. We would probably have some out of the box thinkers and maybe change some of the ways that we do things, And when I'm out talking to women about this industry, and I encourage them not to think about your typical over the road driver. I'm like, think about waste management. Now think about intermodal. Think about, as you're driving around town and, whatever, look at the trucks that are out on the road. And it might be construction. It might be your local mine. It might be, a warehouse that's down the street. It might be Amazon. And all of those are professional driving jobs. And there are plenty of jobs that can get you home every day. You don't have to go out on the road like, when I started, you had to put a couple of years over the road. You were only home one day a week. And that's not healthy for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're male or female or LGBTQ plus or, whatever. It's just, that is not a life.
Right,
So,
right. You mentioned getting to the high school level. Do you know Lindsay Trent?
I do very well. Yeah. I love
next,
her.
Right? Next generation. That's exactly
Yes.
what she's doing. And she's bringing those hot seats, behind the wheel apparatus and all that into the high schools to get them aware of, hey, you know what, you can be a driver as well, not just men, women as well. And I think it's a great thing what she's doing, and that's
I
most
agree.
because she's been doing it for what, the last year or so, where she.
Oh, longer than that. And Dave Dien, I don't know if I'm saying his last name, from the California high school program. Um, they've been working on this under 21 project for a long time,
Oh, good.
and they're just now getting their traction, and she's hitting every conference and venue that's out there. But their message is great, like there's a gap between when kids graduate high school and graduate from college when they're 21, and right now to drive over state lines you have to be, I think it's 21 and a half. I'm not exactly sure, but over 21. And
Hmm.
there's this gap of these kids that sometimes don't go to college,
Yep.
that they could be working on an industry, and they actually and can drive within the state right now. But like Texas is different than New Jersey or Delaware, right? So but I am a proponent for educating the youth of our nation and the next generation on this industry, and getting them excited about it, interested and educated, so that they can join us. We need, there's 3.5 million drivers right now, and there is room for more. So
Definitely all the way. And you know what? I have to apologize about what I said about Lindsay Trenton being in a year. I just connected to her, so I don't know her complete
mhm,
past, but I think it's a wonderful thing what she's
yeah,
doing. And I think it's great for the trucking industry. It's great for women as well to get them more involved. And it's awesome.
yeah.
It really is.
Well, I'm glad you're connected with her. I'm glad you're connected with Women in Trucking Association. It was one of the places where I went, where I landed to help connect with other women that were doing things like me, or things that I wanted to do in the industry. And I found a lot of value in becoming a member. And I'm also on their image team, which is basically their speakers bureau. And I just, there's a lot of great things happening in this industry, and I'm really happy to be part of the solution.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's awesome to kind of see because, like you said, you're part of the solution and having those discussions. Because, like for me, when I think about it too, and first and foremost, shout out to you coming to Toronto, Ontario. The best place in
Mhm.
the world. But
Mhm.
with that being said, can you tell us, just to kind of for the audience as well, some of your like memorable stories of like when you first got started, whether it be like long haul or just things like that you kind of were did short haul? Because for me, I
Yeah.
love to learn about the stories. Like everyone kind of paints that negative picture, but I wish that I got out of high school and I went into truck driving because, hey, I can go to anywhere around the world in North America and see it and get paid to do it. Like, sign me up. So, can you tell us some of like the
Yeah.
stuff that you like, whether it be the freedom of the open road or that no 2 days
Yeah.
are alike? Share your favorite aspects of the trucking lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, there's one moment that, I realized that I was doing something special, and I was in my truck, and next to me was this really like a 1970s white conversion van. And I was at a stoplight. They were next to me, and I looked down, and it was a granny that was in there with white hair. And then I was looking straight ahead at the light, and I saw out of the corner of my eye all this commotion. And I looked back down, and the granny is like going like this. And she wanted me to blow my horn. And you're not supposed to do that in town, especially at a stoplight. There's no telling what kind of mixed message you might send, right? So anyway, I gave a little toot toot, and next to her was another little white-headed lady, and they were like over the moon. They were like bouncing in their seats, so excited. And we all drove off and did our thing. And I was thinking, I was like, why were they so excited about that? And what I came up with was that those were two older women, and I've been driving for 9 years now, and this was early on. And they were two women who had gone all their life and maybe wanted to be a truck driver and thought that it was something that they could never do. And they were just excited to see somebody else that might have looked like them when they were younger doing it. And that's it was meaningful for me, and it made my day. I really enjoyed taking my first load across the border this last week. That was exciting for me because I've been a member of a tri-nation group called NASCO for quite a while, and I finally was, I have taken loads to the border to Mexico and Canada, but another driver got to do the cross-border stuff. And I suppose if I had to do it every day and wait in those big old long lines to get through customs, that it might become ordinary to me. But I got to check that off my box, and I've met some really incredible people through this industry, and maybe someday I'll write a book about all the things that I've seen and done and met, and yeah.
It's awesome. Like everybody that we talk to, I encourage everybody, write your story, because there's always going to be somebody that wants to listen to it or somebody wants to read it. And just based off like the past like 25, 26 minutes that we've had together, it's amazing. I would love to learn about you and, have those stories for everybody to kind of piggyback, because like you said, you didn't kind of come into here conventionally. You had that idea put into your head and you took action. What advice would you give young girls today to basically empower them and help them achieve their goals, whether it be in trucking, whether it be something in safety like you took an action of, or being in associations like Women in Trucking?
Well, the biggest thing that holds any of us back, but I think this is especially pertinent to women, is that little sneaky little thing called self-doubt that creeps into you. And you need to find a way to silence the self-doubt, and just whatever it is, give it a go. And I lived in New Zealand for a little while, and I was so amazed by all the different things that these New Zealanders did. They were like crazy accomplished and adventurous, and they had this thing called give it a go. And they didn't care if they failed. They just wanted to give it a go. And I think that's a great way to look at life.
That is amazing. I love that. Give it a go. That'll be the title of today's episode in the future, for that. So I want to thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to ask
Thank
you
you
one
both.
final question, but it's not
Okay.
for you to answer. It's a hook so that you can come back on our show.
Okay.
What is a question that you hoped that either Jeff or I asked you today?
Oh, do you really want me to answer that question?
I want to quite. Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think it would have to be something about role modeling for my daughters.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I do like that.
We do like, you know what? We're going to go against the grain today, because we always kind of say that, hey, we'll ask it on a future episode to bring you back in. But I don't know. There's a lot of amazing moms in our audience that have been paying attention. So I would like to ask you, Kellylynn, talk to me about role modeling for your kids.
Yeah.
Well, I personally, I never know I'm role modeling for my daughters until they tell me that I did that. And it's one of those moments where you never know really when you make a formative moment. Like we have moments with people all the time, but every once in a while there's something that just clicks. And when my daughters give me that back and say, Mom, you're role modeling this for me, I mean, it just makes your heart melt, like I'm doing a good job.
That is amazing. Congratulations on that. So, Kellylynn, it's truly been a pleasure for you to join us today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're going to be at Matt's later this week. Yeah. Can you let everybody know? Tell them about yourself, how they can network with you, some events that are coming up. How can we get a hold of Kellylynn?
Well, you can find me at mclaughlin.kellylynn@cleanharbors.com. You can find me on Twitter and you can find me on TikTok on DVR Ambassador. You can find me through the image stream at Women in Trucking Association, and on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually one of my favorite places to post.
Awesome. We're so thankful for you for coming out today. We want to thank our audience as well
both
for coming out this Monday morning to spend time with us. If you found value, which I know you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend. Share this with a neighbor. Share this to the Amazon driver who's coming to bring your packages over to your house today. And we'll hit the replay back at 2 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Want to thank our corporate sponsor, Daman at Centurion Trucking. If you are an agent and looking to make a move and think about people over profits, hit up Daman. They're paying up to 60% GP. And with that being said, Cowboy, take us home, my man.
Yes, absolutely. Kellylynn, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time out of your busy day to join Ryan and I. We appreciate your insights. Not many people understand what women go through on the road day in and day out. And I think you just enlightened them a little bit. And we love that you talked about the high school level and being able to train the young folks out there, because we are looking at the next generation, right? So it
Yeah.
is important to give them that knowledge and help them where they need help or don't have that understanding. So I appreciate that very much. So with that said, thanks to our audience for joining us this morning. We appreciate your support as always. Please continue to follow us daily at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the one and only Sales Chatter Live. Have a great day. Bodacious Cowboy out.
Thanks again, y'all.